Welcome to the Inspired by Jacqueline podcast, a refreshing place for women struggling with entrepreneurship, faith, or infertility. Stay tuned for today's episode. Welcome to another episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. This is an episode that I feel that everyone is going to resonate with. It deals with mental health, and it really encompasses everything I talk about on this particular podcast. So super excited for you to meet today's guest. We connected very organically at a networking event. Her name is Leidy Quispe. She is renowned for her transformative approach to healing unresolved trauma, empowering individuals to break free from cycles of self-sabotage and embrace their authentic selves, specializing in connecting the dots between childhood experiences and maladaptive adult behaviors. Leidy combines EMDR and other proven techniques to guide clients toward profound self-discovery and emotional freedom. Her mission is to help people heal from the burdens of generational trauma and live trauma-free, authentic lives. With a vision to end the cycle of inherited pain worldwide, Leidy sessions are known for their empathy, depth, and personal growth, leaving clients feeling seen, understood, and empowered to thrive. Hi, Leidy. How are you? And is there anything else you want to add?
Thank you so much. That was very complete introduction, and I'm so honored to be your guest today. Thank you so much. You said it all.
We met organically, and it was really a great moment to sit next to someone and then really connect. It was really empowering for me. The conversation was organic, and then we followed up, and that was even more like an alignment of conversation.
Yeah, I think for me, as I shared with you as well, I felt the same way. I felt the flowing, the easiness. And I feel like we both align so much on this specific topic of healing that I'm not surprised that it just flows so naturally.
Yeah. Before we get deep into the conversation, how do you start your morning?
Well, I have 3 little kids. I'm going to be honest and very authentic. It can be a little chaotic, but to be honest with you, I do have like a prayer within me. And for me, I cannot do this alone. I have a lot of responsibility, not only my kids, but I have about maybe 8, 9 patients to see a day. So I do feel like I need that strength, that power within God. And I do pray and I do ask him for guidance to make sure know that I'm going to be impacting people's lives. I'm going to have at least some sort of seed into the healing. So for me, that's kind of like the best way to start my mornings. And I see the changes. Sometimes if I forget, I don't know, maybe I'm already so used to it, but I feel like, oh my God, I didn't do my prayer. And for me, that's very powerful every morning because he's the one that is such a part of this healing and this transformative path for my patients. So that's what I do have my prayer. Yes.
That is so awesome and so resonates with me because it's similar to what I do in addition to my coffee in the morning. But
Oh, that too.
mi
Yes.
cafecito is like, I can't let it
Café
go.
con leche,
But
yeah.
as soon as I open my eyes, it's just that prayer and that conversation with God and leaving everything in his hands, right? And because we try to take control when sometimes we just don't need to take control. We just need to understand that there's things that we need to release and there's things that are within our control. And sometimes that's where some of those struggles come in.
And I think, Jackie, too, when you have the best intentions to serve, to help others, you just leave it the rest on God and your capacity to do that. I think the best thing is having the best intentions to serve others.
Yeah, for sure. And so, how did you get into the mental health profession?
It's interesting, and I really hope my younger patients to know this. It's okay not to know it right away, your passion, your calling. It's okay. A lot of people get so stuck on following this path of perfectionism. And it's okay because you do need that time. So I didn't know it right away. Even in college, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into the teaching profession. All I know is just I wanted this interaction with people.
Yeah.
Though I realized as I started getting more into my college career, I realized, wait a minute. I do like this one-on-one
Mm,
conversations. I just enjoy, like I remember just feeling this joy, whether at that time, obviously I was only like 19, whether it was older people, whether it was younger, whether it was the chief of the department of the language departments I was working at that time, whether it was the person cleaning the whole
mm,
building outside. I just enjoyed that interaction. And that I knew, okay, if I really have so much joy of interacting one-on-one, this is the path I had to go into it. And then it started from there. I think it's
mm.
very important to know that choosing a career, I don't know, I just strongly believe that it has to be with love and passion. And
I totally.
it paid off because I am honestly very genuinely happy today.
That is awesome. And you hit it on the dot 100%. Like my first career was as an accountant. And it was mostly because I love details and I love numbers. But when I started getting into it, it wasn't like I really had the passion for it, but it was like that sense of organization, that sense of finding the details in finding that little penny that was missing. So all that really intrigued me. It wasn't so much the numbers, but all of that organization and those little details. And I realized midway in between those 15 years, I knew I wasn't happy and I knew there was more, but I felt like the expectation is that you went to school, and my mother put me through school, being very supportive and coming from a Latin background. It was like, okay, if I do anything outside of that, it's like a disturbance, right? It's like, wait, but oh, you need a job. You have a full-time job. Why do you
Right.
want to?
And you're thinking of making them proud too.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so why do you want to disrupt that? Are you getting a job that still pays you, et cetera? And what I was deviating towards was something that was not conventional in my generation, right? Because now it's like very conventional being an entrepreneur. In my generation, the way I grew up, it was like I originally wanted to be a secretary. Then I ended up being an accountant. And then to go from that to then wanting to be an event planner, it's like, okay, pero ¿qué es eso? What is that? Right?
The security,
The
right? Like,
security. Yes.
no, it's just too much risk at
That's
that
the
time.
word, risk. And here I am 25 years later. One thing I will confess, I'm going to be very transparent because this conversation here is about transparency. I never got to tell my mother that I actually left my full-time secured, quote unquote, job to explore my full-time business as an entrepreneur because of that taboo of you're losing and leaving that secured role into an unknown.
And you don't want to disappoint them. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. Even if you love the career you're in, you don't know what your life will lead you and how that might impact your career path. Or maybe there's something that really intrigues you and gives you that passion that is so different and unexpected sometimes. It's like, oh, wow. And then you end up wanting to change. And it's okay exploring to see if this is the avenue you want.
Yeah, yeah,
And knowing that sometimes we look for approval in others.
of course.
And so that leads me into my next conversation of there's a lot of conversation sometimes about generational trauma. And so as an entrepreneur, I know that that exists. What is your definition of generational trauma? And what are like two or three basic things those who are listening can say, okay, yeah, those things trigger me, or yes, I am going through that, or for them to self-evaluate on a basic level.
Well, this is my favorite topics. I mean, this is my mission to end it, to end the cycle with us. And
Yes.
the generational trauma is as simple as normalizing because we have to
Mm,
normalize it. It's not evil. we have to normalize this paradigm that is not only with our parents. This is from generation, from families to our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, right? This is a shame. This is a paradigm that goes as far as, I mean, you can think of, right?
Yeah.
Colonization, I mean, as far as internalizing these beliefs. And this including, I want to make sure that include in the generation, the paradigm of years and years behind is religion values, culture values. What is the messages that we internalized? And this is passed on from generation to generation, because now it becomes part of this community, right? It becomes part of your identity, right? This is why in the mental health community, we had to be so competent and so trained in understanding culture, diversity, because one culture is a one person, one identity. And that is going to lead into helping us being non-judgmental. If you don't understand about people's cultures, diversity, degeneration, first of all, it's ignorance as well, too. But if you're not understanding, people are not going to be connecting with you either.
Right.
People are not going to trust you, right? Because one of those messages of the generation to generation is that you don't trust people outside our tribe, right? Our family. So generational trauma, for me, it's a paradigm that we had to respect so much, and we had to normalize it, and we had to give the importance as well to it. That these defines just your culture values, just your religious values, and then family values, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they're a little bit limited, right? You still have to acknowledge that this is a tribe, that this is a family that you respect, and we all had to respect it, whether we agree or disagree. But for me, every patient that comes into the door, they coming from some sort of generation, and they are important. And I'm gonna understand you, and I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna connect with that story that you're bringing in from that generation, from that cultural paradigm. So for me, it's like, it's not just the person, it's who is coming before you, and what were their beliefs? What did you learn at home growing up? Again, whether they were limiting beliefs, they were very incredible values, right? Like thoughts, but it's still such a part of a generation and a culture that for me, I respect very much. Doesn't matter where it's coming from, how healthy it is or dysfunctional, I still had to respect it and honor that on everyone. It's very powerful for me to have this incredible inclination of honoring, understanding. I hear you, I see, because the problem is people here from different backgrounds, they don't feel included. Many of them they don't feel seen. So of course, the fear of, okay, is this therapist going to judge me where I'm coming from, right? Because now they have this expectation, and actually they find the opposite. They find this alignment and very authentic. That no, let me just understand you first and hear you out and understand where you're coming from, your beliefs, honoring then your behaviors, because this is all result of this paradigm of what they learned. So who am I to be judging that? I just want to understand them first, build that connection, that trust, and then we can work on this. But I think people, they need to feel heard, and that you honoring their background, where they're coming from, because that's equally important as them.
When they feel like they're being heard, like you said, it creates a safe space. So you mentioned being heard, and I'm sure that conversations with regard to self-worth and doubt and negative self-talk, imposter syndrome. Okay, tell me how much that is like a thing. Tell me about that, and how, if I'm an entrepreneur, how that can potentially hold me back from my next
Oh,
steps.
thank you so much for that. You pretty much describe it, most of my patients, including myself, right? Especially when you start off, right? I think what is deep inside, it comes down to this really internalized belief that you're not good enough.
Mm,
I'm already this talking about imposter syndrome. There's an incredible book, Imposter Cured. I can give you the more details. This incredible psychologist, she put it perfectly. The imposter syndrome, the origin of this, it comes down to this really internalized belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not
mm,
deserving. Now, the problem is, as we internalize this belief, we also isolate ourselves. So you don't talk about it, especially
yeah.
women. There's a study that shows that women actually suffers more so than men in
Mm,
regards to this imposter syndrome because all this fear of not enough, right?
mm,
Of failure. But it's because of the expectations. We have to work harder to prove our worth, to prove ourselves, whether it's in your family, whether it's in society, the double standard, right? But again, I just want to make sure that I highlight this. It becomes down to a deep rooted belief that you don't feel good enough. And the problem
mhm,
is that it keeps going on and on. Well, if I do this, if I lose weight, if I go for this job, or if I, right? And it's almost like you're running on empty because the emptiness is there. Once you deep inside believe you're not good enough, there's an emptiness that no matter what you do on the outside, still going to be there.
mm. And it's so interesting that seeing a lot of people, and including myself, when you go into start a business and you're so excited, it's
Yes.
like that excitement kind of takes over and it kind of pushes away what you might be doubting about yourself, or and then all of a sudden it comes out of hiding when you're in your most pivotal moment and you're like, no, I can't do that. Or what if I'm not good enough, like you said?
And that's exactly the way you describe the path. That's why sometimes we don't even realize we're struggling with this,
Mhm.
right? We're so excited because there's adrenaline when you're thinking about your own business. There's a hope, there's a dream. When I decided to go my own practice, coming from Union City
Mm,
and opening my practice in Bergen County in Paramus, right? There is this adrenaline. You're excited, yes, I got to do this. You're more in this autopilot mode and putting
mhm,
everything together. And the first day, I felt like I was really about to die, frozen
mm,
completely, because then that negative belief haunted me and came to me. So you can't really miss it.
mhm.
That underlying belief, that negative, deep inside belief, is the one running the show. But again, you kind of masking it because you're busy. You just
Yeah.
and also again that dream, the happiness. We probably the first in that this generation being entrepreneurs, business people, right? So you really not letting this negative beliefs coming into you. But at some point it would come into you because you haven't dealt with it. You kind of
Yeah.
running away from it and keeping the silence.
Yeah, that
Again,
is
it's gonna
so deep.
backfire on you.
No, I definitely agree. And, you know, and then that takes to the next conversation, which I talk about a lot, boundaries, right? Because as an entrepreneur, again, going back to that example of that excitement, right? You want to start pleasing people or do amazing work and either offer a product or service, etc. And you're so excited and so into everything that you're saying yes to everything. And then that when it's time to say no, when you struggle to say no, it's like, I can't say no. Oh my gosh. So talk to me about boundaries and how that works into that trauma as well, because that's also for me, I feel that that's a part of unresolved trauma.
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to say kindness to yourself in that journey of becoming an entrepreneur and building your brand, whatever the amazing, incredible thing you're doing, kindness and compassion.
Mm,
Because as we know, the beginning of this journey, we're going to make all the mistakes. We're going to have all these issues with boundaries. So I just want to normalize this path of starting or getting your feet into it, or really just, having this courage to do it. So I want to tell people, you're going to make mistakes. And that's what is, again, brings this little voice that you're not good enough. And the imposter syndrome is that there is so much of this fear of failure. So I just want to say it's okay to make mistakes, to mess up. The problem with boundaries is that we get very conflicted with opening the business and being liked and being approved by
Mm,
people as well. That it's another layer of you putting yourself out there and risking, right? You also want to be liked. You want to make sure you're making people happy, people pleasers, right? So what did we do? We give in. People start doubting our prices or too expensive or right. And we're like, oh my God, yeah, no. Now they're not going to buy it. Now they're going to think
mm,
I'm just stealing the money, right? Like all of these racing thoughts, because also deep inside, right, you're not feeling good enough and you want to be liked, you want to be approved. You want to be people to believe in you.
mm,
And this need for that reassurance, for this approval, people believe in you is because the need comes from you not approving of yourself, not
mm.
fully believing that you do have that capacity, that power, that talent. So I just want to say, remember, there is so much fear of what people think. And that also goes back to that trauma.
Yeah.
Read this childhood, the generational trauma, there was a lot of internalized messages. I don't know about you, Jackie, but for me, it was the people that decided to open business or money. It was like greedy people,
Mm.
selfish.
What? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the family or the friends that is like, oh, you could do it for us, right? And it's like, why would you charge us? Or, so many different things that come up, and you're like, wait a minute, what is this? And then you get sucked into certain things. And then it's like, okay, how do you get yourself out of that? Right. So it's all those different boundaries. For me, I can say that I spent years, and I'm sure I'm not alone when I say, I struggle with boundaries until I realized how that was impacting me, my sense of like worth, and my business and my relationships. And every single time I would get over one hurdle that I felt really, really like if I was at fault, and I was like, wait a minute, why am I blaming myself? So then that really turned around for me. There was just one moment that really was that turnaround point for me in saying, enough is enough, no mas. Because if I continue to undervalue who I am, I'm not going to love myself. I'm not going to love the things that I do. I'm not going to love the time that I spend with people because I'm always second guessing now. It's like, should I do this or why should I do this? Instead of saying, okay, this is my boundaries. These are my core values. And so now my core values are all over my websites. My core values are things that I'm very vocal about. And it's either you take it or you don't. But I've already expressed what my core values are internally and externally. And so I feel like in the last 5 years, that's how long I've been struggling with boundaries. But in the last 5 years, I feel this sense of peace that I've created this foundation for myself of understanding what my values are and how I can continue with my head up high, loving everything that I do, but also knowing that every day is not going to be an amazing day. But as long as I have my core values and a strong foundation, that even if I fall, I know I'm going to get up. Even if, someone doesn't like that I said no, it's okay. So I feel like even coming into this year, it's been such an empowering year for me because I have this sense of security that with God in my favor, my boundaries are so clear. And I am not going to be sugarcoating anything respectfully. And I can't worry about the other person. I'm not going to insult them, but I'm going to kindly decline based on what my priorities are and my boundaries.
This is where, amen to that, because this is where this culture values are so important and the generational cycle, right? Like it's so important to question it Because I don't know for you, Jackie, but for me and a lot of my patients in my 20 years of being into mental health, most of my patients, the messages heard were setting boundaries is that you're a bad person.
Mhm.
You know, how dare you? There's a lot of shame and guilt around setting boundaries. And it's not just in the Latina community. This is more universal.
Mhm.
You know, setting boundaries, it means that you're a selfish person. Imagine, I just have so much compassion for
Mhm.
people that really internalize, including myself, right? Like believing that setting boundaries was a sign of you not thinking about others and selfish.
Yes.
There is so much
Yes.
demonizing this setting boundaries. So just starting with that alone, how somebody unwired themselves from this programming that if you think you say no or you're setting your boundaries with your schedule, that means that you're being mean to people, right? Like
Yeah.
there is so much of these negative emotions, feelings, beliefs attached to boundaries.
Yes.
So first, we have to be aware of what is it, what are the messages? And it doesn't have to be just at home too, like society, at school,
Mhm.
in the church, just kind of
It's
see,
everywhere.
like
Yes.
reflect on it, get to know yourself more. What are the messages? Because I'm here to tell you my 4 years of experience, those messages, I've been a witness of how have been such a sabotage
Mhm.
on people,
Yes.
right? Like goals, dreams, because they didn't feel worth it of setting boundaries.
Mm.
And one thing that I see so much in my practice is people that get mad, even whether it is in your profession, mostly whether it's into business, family, people that get upset because you set boundaries is because they're not longer benefiting from your poor
Ex-
boundaries.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's like that should be your slogan. But I learned that. I learned that. It was a reality check for me that it's like I'm not going to be somebody's benefit. When I said that to myself, I'm like,
My therapist said,
yeah,
yep.
I am not somebody's benefit. I am here to be supportive for sure. I am here to be still who I am. It's not going to devalue who I am unless you interpret it that way because you're no longer benefiting from my time, from my finances,
Your poor
from
boundaries. Yeah.
my core boundaries and
So
my core
people that
values.
cared about you, they're gonna respect it whether they like it or not,
Mhm.
but they're still gonna honor you and respect you and not shaming you
Right.
for just setting your boundaries and knowing your worth. Imagine that.
Yeah. And
It,
it's not easy. It's not easy, which is, you know, I owe all of my strength and my intentions to God, like 300%, because I couldn't have done it without him. And that is my faith is what holds me and the support that I have of the people who love me, who are around me, who love me. And like you said, whether they agree or not, there are people who still support me, whether they agree or not on certain things that I say no to. Going through infertility years ago, from that time frame to now, like not having a child and speaking to people who have children, sometimes there's that conversation. It's like, oh, she don't have children, so she has time.
mm,
Oh, why she said no? She don't have no responsibilities. So taking all of those different scenarios, yes, I'm childless, but I have my core values, I have my faith, I have God, and I have I'm the person who is the most supportive and will always be a support to someone. I'm very nurturing. And if they respect that, like you said, they will remain. Whether they agree with everything or not, that's not on me. But if
not
they are
up.
still a friend, a family, then we can make this happen. Just to the same thing that I have different groups of friendships, different groups of family members that may not interact with each other, but I'm like that core person that will interact with all those different groups. And that's like a very special thing for me, right? And so if you can't understand a friendship from one to the other, that's fine. As long as you respect me for having friendships on one end to the other. right? And so those are a lot. That's just a little bit of the things that I've been able to kind of sit down and analyze. And you can't analyze all of that in one sit down.
Yeah,
That takes years and years of like dissecting every single piece of who you are and your core values and the connections that you have and how your life impacts others.
absolutely. And just so you know, in the parenthesis, just so you know, when you're not setting boundaries, you are bound to build the resilience.
Mm,
Please know this.
wow.
When you're
Yes.
not setting boundaries, you are bound to build a resentment.
Hmm.
And that's going to lead to one day whether you're exploding or whether you're going to fall into the burnt out, because that's how we burned out.
And I've fallen into both of those for sure. For
Mhm.
sure. And I can talk about boundaries like days and days and days, but
Yes.
no, thank you
Just as
for
long as you
that because
understand the fundamentals.
yes, yes. And for our listeners, I know that I've talked about boundaries before in other episodes, but it's really important. It's a really, really important conversation. And it's taking baby steps to try to, whether you can do it on your own or if you need to speak to someone just like Lady, it's just finding that support and working through those boundaries because it's really, really important. I know that I can definitely say setting boundaries has saved my life.
And if you look into Dr. Gabor Mate, I can give you the information for him. He had phenomenal books, 40, more than 40 years of experience. He's a physician, and now he's the voice of mental health. And
Yeah.
throughout those 40 years, he was studying, he was interviewing, and he came to the conclusion that the woman, especially women, failed to set up boundaries, failed to express themselves, but mostly boundaries. It was the
Mm,
ones that mostly suffer from the immune system diseases. Because
mm,
now we are in really, which is very scientifically proven, of how this mental health struggles. And one of them is this inability to set up boundaries and being true themselves is really impacting your physical health. So for me,
mm.
Dr. Gabor Mater is like the best person to, right? Because he doesn't come from that bias. I'm a therapist. I'm all about mental health. He is a physician, and he was able firsthand to see how much of these women that were having so much diseases of the immune system, lupus, right? I tried like all of these things. He saw so much of the relevance with, childhood trauma, mostly not setting boundaries, not speaking the truth
Mm,
and stating what they need to do for
mm.
themselves first. So just so
Yeah,
you know, this is also eventually will have an impact in your health. Just so you know, listen to
for
your body.
sure. For
Mhm.
sure. That is so 100%. And so with that, like I know you also talk about emotional resilience. Like how is describe that and how being emotionally resilient and having that as a factor to
Yes.
look at it positive, healing.
The main thing I want people to know, there is no failure when you learn a lesson from.
Yes.
There's no failure. If you can learn something from what happened to you, from a horrible mistake, a horrible event that happened, there's no failure, right? So I really want people to know that even through that journey, it's okay to make mistakes because you know what? That is going to build the resilience. Actually, with this new generation, a lot of parents ask me, I'm so scared to traumatize my kids, right? Like, I don't want to pass. Actually, every individual in this world, they need to go through difficulties. They need to struggle. They need to go
Hmm.
through some sort of challenges. So please do not see challenges and failures as that your enemy. Friend them. Don't avoid them. Don't be so fearful because this is the only moments that you're going to have these aha moments of realizations, learning lessons. And most importantly, this is what is going to build on that emotional resilience. I don't think there is no one that could say magically they wake up and now they're super emotionally resilient or they just resilient.
Yeah.
No, their resilience is as a result of daily challenges, sufferings. you know, when you talk about your infertility journey, Jackie, like imagine if you look back, how much that is now you taking this and
Mm.
feeling so empowered to serve others,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
to
and
relate to other person
redefining.
with like it's
Yeah.
incredible.
But when I went through it for 10 years, it was
Probably blaming yourself.
the darkest,
Can imagine.
like no worth. I was at the end of ending it all. And again, going back to God and just seeing that final light and like, hey, wake up. You're still alive. Let's learn again how your value of being a woman is important. And I ended up doing that, getting to know who I was
Giving me
again,
goosebumps, goosebumps.
getting to know, you know, that life was beautiful and that what the generations before me, because as a Latina, I was expected to have children as soon as I
Right. The
got married or whatnot.
expectation of what is to
Yes,
be a woman. Like it's so defined
exactly.
again by, you know,
Yes.
kids, work, like, you know, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And
You weren't
not,
meeting the expectation.
yeah. And not having anyone who had experienced that in my family. And,
Or maybe they didn't
you
talk
know,
about
or maybe they didn't talk about it, but I come from two large families that everybody was just like,
the
having children.
normalization of,
It
yeah.
was that was like a normal piece that I was always dreaming, oh, I'm going to have twins because it runs in my family. Or
Oh, wow.
so it was just so much. And even to envisioning what kind of crib I was going to have for my baby, so all of that was
That was
in
a huge
such a,
briefing as well.
yeah, so it was a huge, huge thing where now I am, like you said, empowered because I was still listening, hearing. I started to hear a lot of the conversations through colleagues or friends or acquaintances that the conversation was still going. And I survived that. And I survived so much through that challenge that I felt like I had a story to share. And I started sharing my story, and I also felt like I needed to create something to continue the support and conversation and redefine what motherhood was to me. But I wanted to show the world that you can redefine, especially from a woman's perspective. As a woman, you can redefine what motherhood is because it's different for so many people.
I just love something that you said is I survive, something along those lines. And this is exactly my mission, my specialty with all of my clients. We're not victims,
Mm-mm.
we are survivors.
Yeah.
What an empowering, just even just saying that you survived this. Now you build resilience. Now you grow as well. Now
Mm-hmm.
you have a story to tell and maybe impacting the world and
Yeah.
serving others. You're right. Like, so I love what you just said. I survived it because it's coming so much from this, you know, empowerment,
Mm.
autonomy,
Yes.
right? Like with all this agency and autonomy that I'm the one, right? Like I'm the architect of my life. I had the pen with me. I can write my narrative.
Yes.
I didn't, unfortunately, growing up, it sometimes for many people, they just have this mentality of feeling so powerless or helpless. There's nothing I can do about this. There is so much you can do. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, if you look at this as a lesson, what can I learn? What is this here now to teach me? What is this here to tell me, right? That is the emotional resilience. Looking
Yeah.
at these challenges, looking at these difficult moments, so powerful that just they come into you. I don't see it as a coincidence. There is something powerful here.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to you because they believe in you for you to have the power to do something about it. So please, let's not focus so much on doing everything perfect and meeting society
Mm.
expectations, meeting everything's expectations. Because as I said at the beginning, we're going to keep running on empty.
Yes. Yes. And I'm glad that you said running on empty because that's the other thing, that we have to give ourselves time to, like for me, I know when I need to kind of re-energize. right? I
Yes.
need a silent moment. I need some silent space, or I need to walk by the ocean, or I know what I need to get that energy back because I give so much of that energy out that I'm like, okay, I'm almost at depleted. So let me get that back because, I need to have enough for myself and for whatever my mission is, my purpose.
And I think, Jackie, with that being said, for me, I just wish everybody knows, and you part of your own community. We're not alone.
Yes.
We probably thought growing up that we had to do things alone. It's all of in this bubble of you have to keep it to yourself.
Hmm.
We know better now, right? Our parents didn't have those resources, those tools that now we have. So we can do better. We're not alone. We can reach out, whether it is our church community, whether it is groups, whether it's a therapist, a coach,
Hmm.
not alone. We don't have to do this alone. So whatever you're going through, know that you can find your space because sometimes we have this feeling that we don't belong, even as entrepreneurships, right? Like even
Right.
as right, like we might be the first one in our generation going into this journey, embarking this journey of entrepreneur and business owner. You're not alone. There's a community for business owners too. What
There's
they
a
even go
community for
through.
everything.
So you belong. Stop really looking for reasons to tell you that that you don't belong. You do belong.
Hmm.
Please know that you're not alone. You can belong. You can find people aligning. The way I found you in that network event, with align, right? Like
Yes.
you have this values, we have this almost the mission, a lot of things in common, and we found each other. So I just want to tell people too, we do belong.
Yes. Yes. Because I left that event. Oh my gosh. So like it was so much of a positive, not just, I connected with you and I was able
Other
to
people.
connect with other people, but also see other people who I had met online. And like it was the first time meeting in person. We're hugging. It was such an amazing space. Like you said, there's so many different communities, and yes, there's sometimes too many, but when you are focused on your purpose, I truly feel that you will be led to the community that you need to connect. Because even with that, we met and then we had a conversation afterwards. And I was like, I need to introduce you to someone. I
Oh
need
my
to
God. And thank you for
introduce
that, by
you.
the way.
Yeah, I need to introduce you to the organization, that I'm one of the co-founders because Inspírame Latina, right? It's just empowerment begins with a conversation. And our conversation was very basic, very simple, but we knew, like, even the looks that we gave each other, it was like we knew there was
Exactly.
something there, right? And even you, I can remember you said, have we met before? I feel like I've met you before.
Yes, I remember saying that.
And
The
and
vibration, so
oh,
positive.
oh,
Yes.
it was I that event really brought out a lot of just a confirmation for me on my purpose and the path that I was actually working on, right? And it was like I see everything that God puts ahead, and he doesn't do it by mistake, right? There's no mistake about what is put together and the narrative of our lives. But if we get in the way, right? Or if we don't come out of that shelter that can not allow us to grow or to heal, we're going to remain in that. If we don't see his light, if we don't allow ourselves to breathe, to release, and
Mhm.
to move ahead. And you said challenges always. And that's how I look at life. How I create my foundation is all those lessons that you say when you either feel like you fear or you made a mistake or whatever, all
Wow.
those little lessons, that's what's been building my foundation. And so, but I have conversation with people and I tell them it doesn't mean that I think everything's over. I don't think of a challenge being, oh, I conquered it, that's it. I'm not going to be challenged anymore. No, not that I'm fearing what's ahead, but I'm very realistic in that challenges will come. It's how you handle it. It's how you are able to decipher what's for you, what's not, how to handle it based on all those challenges that I've experienced before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, I would love to hear, any final words that you would like to share with the listeners, any tips that you would like for
Yes,
them to take away.
absolutely. I mean, being in this mental health of 20 years, I wouldn't be able to do this without a community, without help. So for me is I put, different steps on people how to overcome the self-doubt, the not good enough, the sense of not worthy, right? You have to be aware that something is not longer working. You have to be aware that those messages, I'm not good enough, I had to overwork myself. I had to prove this person that my whatever I'm selling is good, right? Like, please challenge those negative beliefs. Challenge, question when you questioning your worth. Even that question, just remain open and curious. So please just be aware that all of this voice whispers that is happening, that you're telling yourself, this little voice, you don't have to keep feeding into it. You can hear them with open and curiosity, without judgment, but just know that you can challenge this. Sometimes we don't hear that enough. And I'm here to tell you, you can question those negative beliefs because I promise you, that's probably not even part of who you really are. That's probably not even your identity. I'm just doubting myself all the time. I'm just don't think I'm good enough for this. That might not be true. So please just know that you can question, give yourself permission to question, to challenge those negative beliefs. And when you do this, know that there is solutions, there is sources out there. There is places that you can reach out, that you can call. Know that there is help out there. You cannot longer keep thinking that you can figure it out or just on your own.
Mhm.
Even please question that because that's not truth. Even as a mental health therapist for 20 years, I see a therapist myself and it adds so much richness to my ability, my capacity to heal other people. So please, just so you know, you cannot do this alone. So please question, challenge, give yourself permission to ask and to questions these negative beliefs and know that you can ask for help. You can take ownership. And listen, I just want to also do a little parenthesis when we talk about generational trauma. It's not about blaming anyone.
Mhm.
It's not about putting the responsibility on anyone. It's not your parents' time. I always tell people, and they love it. Parents' times, they're expired already. Their time is expired. You cannot longer put this blame on them. You just got to be
Mhm.
open and curious to understand it, right? Those are the resources that they had at that time. But now you do have resources and you can really just internalize the beliefs that you're worthy of, which that can be really your real self, your authenticity. I'm good enough. I can make mistakes. It's okay. I'm going to learn from it. So all I want to say is become aware is the first step. Just take ownership. It's not your parents, responsibility to heal you or to help you. It's on you. This is on you. So become aware and take ownership and just believe there is something more than just negative beliefs. You can really question this. Jackie, please know that.
Yes, no, and while you're sharing that, something also came into my head like, okay, so you're the person saying no, but what would you tell that person who's offended by that no, the receiver of that no? Are they also being challenged with boundaries
What do
or
you mean? Can you explain
so
that?
let's say you asked me something and I said no because of it's either not within my time frame or it's
Oh,
not
I see.
something.
Okay.
So you're the receiver of that no, and you're highly offended. Like, what's the scenario on the other
I think
side?
this is very universal. And Chris Voss, there's a lot of, people now that are really, magnifying the spectrum of listening empathy. Brené
Mm,
Brown, right? Being vulnerable. I think it's
hmm
not so. really this ability to connect with people is not so much just in this mental health space.
Yeah.
It's more universal. So when you're saying people say no, I think it's very important as much as, you know, but why they're not accepting my no, right? Like you still have to provide some sort of empathy for that person.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
understand that you probably didn't like that I say no. I hear you. Right. So I know we not want to fall into
Yeah.
the role of a therapist,
Yeah.
but I think people feel so good when they feel heard and seen.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're getting offended, like I'm sure this is very upsetting for you. I'm sorry that you're disappointed that I say no, that I have my boundaries. And I hear you. I just have to do what is best for me,
Yes.
or tell me more, right? Like, so I
Mm-hmm.
think that it has to be a little bit of this capacity, a little bit just to provide some sort of empathy or hear that person out, or
Mm-hmm.
even just reflect back to them. It sounds like you got upset or disappointed. I'm sorry.
Right.
So I think if we can just kind of empathize, especially, this is key, Jackie, especially when you're starting to do this. Because one thing
Mm.
about
Oh, yes.
when you start setting boundaries, people had to grieve the person that didn't have boundaries or very poor boundaries. People had to grieve
Yes.
that person that is
It's
not.
like, wait, what's happening? It's like, what's
So
happening?
you're
No,
gonna
no.
get
They
that a
always
lot.
they're people pleasers. They always say yes.
Yes, what happened?
Pero
Yes.
¿qué está pasando aquí?
Yes, yes. So, your recovery, your full recovery, and they're not going to take it as well as the way you taking it. You're so proud
Mhm.
of yourself. You're like, I'm setting boundaries. I'm going to be tomorrow, and I'm going to be so proud of myself. Don't be thinking that on the other side that the people is going to take it the same way as you. Oh, wow, they're grieving. You have to allow them to grieve that person that didn't set boundaries.
Yes.
So there has to be a little bit of the understanding, especially when they're starting to see this new person. But you have to remain true to yourself and continue in this journey that aligns so much more so with your authenticity.
Amen. Yes.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. That's
Thank
the
you.
conversation today. We can talk and talk and talk
I
about
know,
it.
right? We can
Like
keep
it's
it
like
standing and expanding it,
but
you
thank
know.
you so much for your time and I really truly appreciate the conversation with you. Even from the first time that we chatted, it was just like a really impactful conversation and it's one that I always love. And now that I understand my purpose and how, that's been an impact in my life, like boundaries and all these different things, having conversations like this is what helps communities grow, right? And so thank you. And I'm thankful that God has put you in my life for
So say,
conversations like this because you can't have conversations about this with everyone because there is still that growth in between for a lot of people. And so I think that's what one of the things what really aligns with us is that I was able to have a great conversation with you about it because it's not an easy one. It's a hard one and especially about generational, trauma and things like that. So thank you. And I would love for you to share your business information and also your social media. How do people find you and connect with you? And by the way, no spoiler alert, a little spoiler alert. She is amazing on social media. You need to connect with her because she's just like giving some great nuggets there. And so, like, it's not even a whole half hour, it's just one little few sentences that you share. So impactful. So, thank you for that.
thank you so much, Jackie.
Yes.
Well, thank you for this platform because, if I can serve in any shape or way or form, especially people aligning with my mission and purpose, for me, this is joy. I'm very happy
Hmm.
today to be here. So thank you so much for that. And yes, my mission is to keep sharing this message every day, even if it's just something a little bit, but just to know that you're worthy and you can change your life and transform your life to the best. You can do this. You have the power to do it. So you can follow me at Leidy Therapy on Instagram. And I'm here in Bergen County in Rocho Park. And actually, just so you know too, 350 West Passaic Street in Bergen County, we are expanding my clinic in August.
Mm. Oh,
So
wow. Wow.
I can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can only see about 40, 50 patients. So I'm actually going to hire people that are going to train my
Mm,
same methods with my same expertise to be able to expand the service to a bigger community.
that's,
So in
oh my
August
God.
1st.
That is so awesome. Tell me when the ribbon cutting is, all the celebration, because I
Yes,
want to
yes, I'm
be
gonna let you
there.
know. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, thank you
Absolutely.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes,
Thank you.
and make sure to follow her. I will share all her info in the show notes and on all the connections when I post. So make sure to follow her. Thank you again, lady, for being here.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are tuning in, leave any comments, share this. I'm sure there's so many people that you can share this with. It's a very special conversation to me as well. And so make sure to comment, like, follow, and everything else. Subscribe, please, and stay tuned for the next episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. Take care. Bye.